What's up guys, Matt Day here, and today we're going to take a look at the Nikon FM2. Alright, so I've said it a million times and I'll say it again, the Nikon FM2 is by far one of my all-time favorite cameras. This is actually Molly's FM2, but I owned one a few years ago, and no matter what I was doing, it was my go-to camera. I always had my FM2 on me, and I might be a little bit biased because of that, but we'll go ahead and get started. So the FM2 was in production from 1982 until 2001, so it was in production for a pretty long time, and because of that, you're going to be able to find FM2s pretty easily online, whether it be on eBay or KEH or so on. But also, because it is, an F camera, like most F cameras, it has that reputation of being a really reliable and durable camera. So whenever you do find one, there's a good chance, no matter how beaten up it is, it's still going to be working because F cameras are notorious for being really well-made and durable cameras. It's extremely well-made and really well-built, and it's an absolute joy to use. One of the nice things about the FM2 is the maximum shutter speed. It goes all the way up to 1/4000th of a second, and that's really pretty fast for cameras of this time because most of them back in the day, they topped out around 1/1000th of a second. So with this camera, you're getting 2 more stops in the shutter speed, so that's definitely a nice thing to have. And also in the shutter speed dial, you have your film speed. So or your meter speed that you would set, for your film speed. So all you have to do is just lift up and rotate it, and you're going to change the little dial inside of the shutter speed dial, and that's going to adjust what your meter is reading for. And with the meter, you have the speeds from 12 all the way up to 6400, so no matter what you're shooting, you are covered there. And the nice thing about this meter is the fact that the batteries in the camera, they only power the meter. So if your batteries die, your camera, it's still going to be 100% usable. You have all of your shutter speeds, they're all going to be perfectly accurate, and you have a 100% working camera. So a lot of cameras, when the batteries die, you're stuck to 1 or maybe 2 shutter speeds. But with this camera, if the battery dies, you're only out your light meter and you're still able to shoot. So that's definitely a plus. Also up here on the camera, we have your shutter release and also your film advance. And one of the nice things about this camera is it kind of has a built-in lock where if you push the film advance forward, you can't shoot. It locks your shutter release, and basically all you have to do to shoot is I always just keep my thumb right here and keep it open and shoot that way. And yeah, as soon as you push it forward, if you throw it in the bag, it's not going to get bumped around. You're locked. So it's a nice thing. Molly, she always forgets that, and it drives her crazy. But it's a nice thing once you get used to it, having that lock right there, just to prevent any accidental frames if you bump into something when the camera's in your bag, anything like that. So another cool thing to think about with this camera up here, which a lot of people don't even notice whenever they're shooting with this camera, is you actually have the option for a double exposure, or multiple exposure, I should say. Whenever you're advancing the film, all you have to do is just pull back on this little tab right here. You pull that back, and all you're going to do is cock your shutter. So you're not actually advancing the film whenever you do that. You just cock the shutter, and you can literally do this over and over and over. You just pull this back and keep exposing that same frame. And it's not something that I think you could do accidentally. It's pretty hard to, well, I guess it would be hard to do it accidentally is what I'm trying to say. So you shouldn't have to worry about accidentally bumping it or anything, but it's a nice feature to have. And like I said, I owned this camera for a while before I ever even realized that, that's what that was for. So you can do multiple exposures there, which is nice. A lot of people like to do that. Down here on the front, you have your depth of field preview. So if you're wanting to see what your depth of field would be like at, say, f8, f11, something like that, you just hold that in, and that's going to change your depth of field according to what is selected on the lens. So I don't know if you could see in there. Nah, probably not. But that's what that's for. Right here, you have your self-timer. So you just pull that back and, release your shutter, and then it's going to count down. So you do have a self-timer there. Over here, you have your little sync port for using a flash, and right here is your film winder. So whenever you're done, just like any 35mm SLR, really, same thing. Press the button right here on the bottom to free the spool there, and then you just wind it up. It's that simple. And whenever you want to pop open the back, you don't just lift up like on a lot of cameras. There's this little notch right here on the side that you just push over, and as you push that over, then you lift up, and it springs open the back just like that. Now, you'll notice on the shutter here, it has this honeycomb type grid to it, and it's a titanium shutter, And that's actually the reason that they were able to get up to a faster shutter speed, like 1/4000th of a second. So I'm not sure exactly, why that is the way it is, why the titanium is faster or anything. All I know is that's what, the reasoning behind that was because they could get a faster shutter speed. And I believe at the time this was the fastest shutter speed they were able to get on a 35 millimeter SLR, because of that, whenever it was introduced back in 1982. So, and I'm not sure exactly why that is or why they have this honeycomb grid pattern on it. I personally think it's one of the coolest looking shutters, even though that doesn't really say much, but it is what it is. It's a vertical shutter, like you could see here as I advance it, and then, yeah. Camera has an awesome sound to it. That's one thing that, like I've mentioned before in other videos, I love noticing little differences in different cameras and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a nice sounding camera. Back here, if you want to put your what film stock you're shooting, pretty standard, like any 35 millimeter SLR. And down here on the bottom, you've got your tripod mount, your battery spot here, and then the little button, like I said, that you press to, press that in before you wind up your film, or else you're going to rip through the sprockets and be really, really mad. So that's pretty much it as far as the camera goes. Like most 35 millimeter SLRs, there's really not a whole lot to say. A lot of them are pretty similar, although there are subtle differences, like this one having the faster shutter speed and stuff like that. One thing I'd also want to mention is the fact that you have a sync speed of 1/200th of a second, and I believe on older FM2s, whenever they were first introduced, it was at 1/125th of a second, and then a few years later they decided to, I guess, update it and come out with the version that had a 200th of a second sync speed. So depending on what year your FM2 is, that's going to change. And also there's an FM2N, which I believe the top plate is made of titanium, and it has a little N back here by the serial number on the camera. So that's one other thing to look out for. And I believe FM2Ns cost a little bit more because, they have that top titanium plate, but I believe everything else on the camera is the same as far as function goes. So as far as a price on the camera, I would suggest finding one for around roughly $150 online, $150 US. I'm not sure what the conversion rate would be for any of you guys that are, overseas, but that's usually what I see online is around $150 for a good condition one. Obviously, the prices are going to change if you're looking at something that's in mint condition or something that's really beat up, but that kind of goes without saying. So that's pretty much everything on the FM2 though. It's easily one of my all-time favorite cameras, so that's pretty much everything. So there you guys have it, the Nikon FM2. It's by far one of my favorite cameras, and if you guys have been looking to pick one of these up, I hope you found this video useful because, like I mentioned earlier, these cameras are known for being really reliable and durable cameras, and you can pick one up knowing that it's going to last you a long time. So I hope it's been helpful, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know in the comments what you guys think, and let me know what your favorite Nikon F camera is. These cameras are known for being true workhorse cameras, and I couldn't agree more. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm always anxious to hear what you guys have to say. And be sure to thumbs up the video and subscribe if you haven't already. I have a lot of exciting stuff coming up pretty soon, and some of the stuff I can't announce yet, but I will be doing that as soon as I can. So make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on everything. But that's all. So thank you guys, as always, for watching, and I'll see you next time.